Welcome to Swedish Talk, where the Swedish hot topics have never been so frank. Okay, so Sydsvenskan stirs the pot. Okay, so this Sunday we had a visit from well-known Imam, Salman Al-Huda, who was invited to give a speech to some Syrian refugee children. And the Sydsvenskan, in a headline on Monday morning, was that, Malmö, Imam visits Malmö and says that homosexuals will perish in hell.
Talking about headline grab. Wow.
Well,
That's not what the headline
that's not what the
said.
headline said. It says that homosexuals will be punished in the afterlife. Pretty much, that's what it says. But, I just think that this is interesting to kind of stir up a debate about, because counter to that, we have read other newspaper outlets, for example, the Middle East Eye, who, claimed, promoted a little bit more positive story.
You gave a different account.
You gave a different account of it.
Story.
Yeah, so this gives to mind or brings up the discussion, the media and how, they can, how manipulative they can be and how they can, change a story.
Yeah, exactly. It depends who is listening to the story. Like, you pick whatever you want to see. So that's what they picked. But when you go down to the article, you can still read whatever the other article is saying, but it's what they're picking as their headline.
Yeah,
that
the headline was
we
really
reacted on.
annoying. Yeah.
Misleading.
Yeah.
Misleading.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this also brings into the conversation about how Muslim religious figures are portrayed in the media and how certain words can be taken out of context, right? Because the fact is also that this person has a body of work that goes against everything that they were trying to pin against him. He's he was very outspoken against violence against homosexuals in the Middle East, and he's been a staunch critic of Osama bin Laden. So this is a person that needs to be admired instead of being thrown to the wolves like that.
And for me, it's very weird actually that the fact that they could put that title, because if you look at like even Christianity, like they always say you're judged in the afterlife, and that's totally okay.
That's
but
what
the minute
religion
he says
says.
well, because they say the same thing about homosexuals, like you will be judged by your maker, right?
Yeah.
But like when it comes to this person,
Religion,
in Islam, it's like oh my God, because he came to Sweden and he said this, but they say the same thing here.
Yeah, a lot of people, had a lot to say, and especially within my circle, a lot of people had a lot to say about this Sydsvenskan headline, and the fact that they, basically picked and choose, what out of the article, out of everything, out of his speech, and him being here in Malmö. They simply picked and chose that little aspect, which was not even close to accuracy, and ignored or skipped over the fact that this Imam, has clearly made statements, in the past, saying that, the Holocaust was a myth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but he didn't say that, right?
No.
Well, in an interview, Sydsvenskan interviewed him, and he basically said that he doesn't, I don't recall.
I don't recall.
Right.
I think that admire is a strong word, because you said that we should admire him.
Girl.
So I don't think that we should admire. I still think that what we should do is to look at the bigger picture of how you're portraying him compared to how you're portraying the Pope, for example.
Sorry. Continue, Hannah. Yes.
Okay, no, that was my point.
Well, I'm so with you, Hannah, because that's a great point.
There's a clear bias.
There's a
when it
clear
comes
bias.
to Muslim religious figures.
And I think it's because of this whole vilification of Islam and people who practice the Islamic faith. And I think Sydsvenskan, shame on you.
Yeah, and also when I said admire, because this is one of those positive role models, at least positive, because we hear so much about radical teachers, Muslim teachers. With a huge following, right? And this one here is actually a person whose views are, some of them are quite against the Muslim establishment. So even back in the Middle East, his people speak against him, right? Because of those liberal views. So and this is a person that. Not necessarily like a shining rod, but there's a person that it's clearly there to counterbalance the extremism. The extremism, definitely.
It's like a glimmer of hope, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean,
like to change people's minds about stuff, especially when it comes to religion and homosexuality and a lot of other things. Because no religion is perfect. For me, at least, that's what I think. There's some flaws here and there. Just like people, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like if somebody is to say something, it shouldn't be blown up into something else.
Yeah,
to
the
make it
headline
seem
was
like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
Seriously.
Yeah, and it brings the question, that like us as viewers or as the public, that do you think that we should hold our media houses media houses responsible or accountable for the information that they produce? Like if they, for example, such a headline, I mean, this is upsetting.
It's misleading, but still, they're not lying in one way. So it's whatever they choose to write about. And everyone that is writing something will always have to leave out some parts. So it depends. You can't hold people accountable for that in some way because they're just trying to speak their opinion, even if it's not an opinion. You still see it through your personal lens, right?
But don't you think it's also an issue about critical thinking? In the larger scale, because yes, I mean we are provided with these headlines, with this news, but ultimately we have as readers we have to go and do our own research and then extrapolate our own opinion based on what we read, right? But I'm just guessing that most people don't just run with the headline and just go with it, right? We don't stop and think what we did.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of sad though, the fact that they chose that one title to kind of, I don't know, make it look
bad.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Kind of
influence
and that makes you give you an insight into the media business because it's like, okay, so bad news sells, good news doesn't, kind of thing, and that's the kind of world that we live in now.
Or news that is related to some kind of illicit activity done by Muslim or done by a certain group.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That sells because it's also, I mean,
reproducing.
Fear mongering and all that.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Do you agree with the Sydsvenskan headline? Do you think it was misleading? Well, what are your opinions? We'd like to know. So hit us up, send us a message, leave us a comment. And
don't forget to subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe. And that's it for Swedish Talk.